So it's story time. Story time, right? So, first of all, let's start with this. I have a very close, dear aunt who I call mom for years, and she really she protected me and provided for me as a mother, nurtured me in some fashions as a mother, and she transitioned on March the 13th, which was one day after my oldest son's birthday. Sugar balls. So I gotta fix this. Hold up. We're gonna start over. Boom. So we back. And so right before she transitioned, I had talked to her on the phone the day before. And so when I talked to her, she called. She said, "Hey, Key." That's like what my family calls me. They call me Key, short for. Don't even worry about all that. Don't worry about all that. All right. So she called me Key, and she was calling because I feel like she was very confused. She seemed like real distraught and just kind of like all over the place. Like she was unsettled. She wasn't content. And she had a lot of things weighing heavy on her heart. And so she called me to talk to me about her mom and her perspective of her mom and a lot of other people in her life. She felt that she wasn't accepted, that she wasn't genuinely loved, and that she wasn't supported in the things that she felt like was good for her. Now, when it came to all of these things, you know, she would talk to me about these things often. You know, her pain, her you know, what she considered as her limitations, her lack, and how people saw her. And I would always encourage her to remove that view of herself, to start to look at herself in more of a positive light and not project what she thinks that other people think on herself. So I was helping her by explaining to her that, you know, you're thinking for all these people. They never came to you and said any of these things that, or thoughts that you have dreamed up about yourself. Now, granted, we feel things and, you know, we try to come to some type of conclusion about it. But if most of your conclusions about your interactions with other people, your engagements with other people, conclude to something negative, you really gotta look a little bit deeper into why you think people look at you that way. You know, why does your mind go there to thinking these negative things about yourself and people aren't saying it? You know? So, long story short, the next day, I didn't talk to her, but I think there was like a text or something that was sent. But either way, that night when I went to sleep, now this is the following day after I talked to her, the same day that she transitioned. That night, I started receiving a bunch of phone calls and text messages. Now, I went to bed a little bit early because I wanted to wake up early. And my youngest son was actually with my dad, who lives with my grandmother. So that's my aunt's mom and her brother. Okay? So boom. When I wake up that next morning, I see a whole host of missed phone calls, text messages, and all this other stuff. So automatically my mind went to, oh my God, is everything all right with my youngest son? Is he okay? Is something wrong? Like, what's going on? So, like, I was like, all right, calm down, calm down, calm down. So the first person that I decided to call back, scratch that. Looking through my phone, there were 2 text messages that I looked at first before I made any phone calls. Because I believe that, you know, if somebody's been calling you and they couldn't get a hold of you, my first thought would be to send that person a text message so that they either know that it's something really, really important, or to let them know, hey, you know, I called you about 3 to 5 times and you didn't answer, but it's nothing really major. It's nothing really important. Just get back at me when you can. So I looked at my text messages, and there were 2 text messages that really stood out to me. So one of them was from my son's father, which he was saying that he had heard from my sister, and she said to get in contact with my dad right away. So that put me in even more of a little frenzy, right? But I took some deep breaths and was like, all right, I just gotta make these calls now. So the first person I decided to call back was my dad. My dad is a man of very few words. So as soon as I called him, there was no hello, hey, Key, none of that. It was just straight, Key, Danny did. And I'm like, what? What? Now, the thing about this, and the reason why I'm sharing this, is because I knew it was going to happen. I knew it. I felt it. You know, I had this discussion with my grandmother about it. I talked to a few other friends about it. Actually, my best friend, who I've known since I was about 11 or 12, we had literally was just texting about my Aunt Danny. She was asking me how she was doing, which was different because usually my best friend will ask me how's the whole family. She doesn't really like point out names. But this particular day, which was maybe 2 days prior to my aunt transitioning, she asked specifically, how's Danny? And so we were, you know, going back and forth, and that's personal. Y'all don't need to know all my business. But anyway, it was shocking, mostly because I knew it was going to happen, and it happened. You know, I think differently. I don't think like everybody else about these things, so I'm not going to express myself in that way. That's not who I am. So, you know, initially I didn't cry. I think I went straight to anger before even like being emotionally charged. Like before actually crying, I was more angry. Just about how I found out, and it was more stuff to it. Let's just say that. So, I'm saying all this to say because I actually had a dream last night. And in the dream, it took me back to that same day that I talked to her on the phone. When she called, I was actually laying in bed, and I sat up in the bed crisscross, and I remember having my blanket over my lap, and I was just talking to her and expressing encouraging, loving vibrations to kind of help her to shake that shit she was on. You know what I mean? And so in the dream, I'm sitting in the bed, the phone rings, I look the same exact way, the bed, the room, everything is the same exact day, the same exact way from that day. So in the dream, I pick up the phone, and it's Danny, and she just busts out laughing. She busts out laughing, and she was like, ha ha, Key, I'm really not dead. She said, I'm really not dead, Key. I said, well, I know that. And then so I laughed with her, and I said to her, I said, you know, I'm going to tell Granny, and Granny is going to be fucking mad at you. She going to be so mad, right? And right after that, I woke up. And when I woke up, it was like 8:30 something, which my alarm went off at 8 o'clock. I don't know why I didn't wake up at 8 o'clock, but it was almost like I stayed asleep so that I could have this dream and make this connection with her. And so I just wanted to share that because it speaks on the power of, the astral plane, our dreams, our subconscious, how we can connect with our ancestors. And it's not really so much to inform you about those things. If you want to learn about them, there's plenty of books to read about astral travel, projection, all of that stuff. I'm actively reading it myself. So a few books I can share with you is Astral Travel by Yvonne Frost. There's somebody else on there with her that I can't think of right now. Yvonne and Gavin Frost, okay? Then you have A Practical Guide to Astral Projection by Robert Bruce. So these are two of the three that I can remember right now. But, I'm learning more about these things. And I said, as I learn, I will share with others because I really feel like, we need to be doing more work. We need to be doing more work to connect with spirit and to really raise the vibrations for ourselves and where we are. So, yeah, that's story time. And I'm out.